Hi there. You know who it is. You don't yet know what I'm about to do, but I think it's going to be interesting. Alright, this is not necessarily what you would call YouTube ownership. This is much more a question of working out where I agree and where I disagree with someone who has a slightly different perspective to myself. This is a video that you're going to hear in the background, and it's by Rob Lester Films. That's the channel name, okay? And the title of the video is Paranormal Proof Videos. So without further ado, let's run it.
The paranormal videos on YouTube. Here we go.
And now he goes into his musical introduction, you know, making him look cool, which is fine. You know, we all like to have a good video introduction, so that's great. You know, I'm not owning this guy. I'm just trying to go into things I agree with and disagree with.
Now, I don't just think it's my imagination that people put up videos, like I'm looking at the video here by NYC, as in New York City, 812. Yeah, NYC 812. She's put up a load of videos recently. She's been doing videos for a while now, and I've even done a video about her in the past, but I took it down. But basically, her videos recently have been on these fourth dimensional beings.
Alright, so what he's doing is he's owning her, saying that she's going on about fourth dimensional beings, which means that yes, he, you know, in my humble estimation, he's got a right to be able to criticize someone who is coming out with a very strong truth claim about these alleged entities, because my point of view is different, and the fact is that there are strange experiences that one can have occasionally, which are infrequent, but when they do happen, they can be pretty amazing. But we can't really, you know, develop hard beliefs about these things. We can develop, you know, our own personal theologies, if, you know, if it makes us feel good or if it helps us in one way or another. Or we can say what appears to be true under some circumstances, but we can't say these things exist. Yes. So essentially, with Rob Lester Films here, I think that he's doing quite a good service, because he's highlighting this.
Okay, or entities. And it's basically a kind of camera error. And people actually pick on these videos where they see like a distortion in the image or something, whether it's because it's low definition quality, like it's on the mobile phone or something. So you've got your mobile and you're like, oh well, I'm filling this, and you're with a distortion in the image. It's like only like 2 megapixel like this or less, or maybe 3 megapixel. That's crap. I mean, this cheap camera is 3 megapixel, but if you move it, you miss bits. So if you get it with a cheap camera, you can get it with these distortions, which might look like a fourth dimensional being.
Okay, now I'm going to stop this right there, because I am actually quite in agreement there. I mean, there is this mindset amongst people who are involved with supernaturalism and paranormal type stuff, whereby they will experience something or see something, and they will automatically assume that that is hard evidence. Now, essentially, the word evidence itself doesn't necessarily point to something which is proof positive of a particular, you know, a particular thing happening in the world. I mean, just as I pointed out before, I mean, I could have an experience of seeing a ghost. Okay, I could tell you what happened in the experience. I could describe it as accurately as I can, and I could say that, you know, culturally we could say this is the experience. This is the experience of using a ghost, you know, or sorry, of seeing a ghost. That's the kind of language that we would use to describe this sort of thing. But what I personally would say is that this is a strange experience. And basically I would try and stop right there, because you know, we don't know what these experiences mean, but we know that sometimes, as a result of personal experiences, doing meditation, doing weird religious stuff, as I tend to do because I'm a weird religious person, okay, these strange experiences can be brought about. Now, when it comes to physical things such as taps or raps or things that you know you only just about hear, they could possibly be due to a wide variety of normal physical phenomena, and we have to bear that in mind as well. And if you've seen some of the better quality, I mean better quality, ghost hunting shows, they've pointed out that electromagnetic radiation from the wires and cables in your house can create some effects within your mind if you are the kind of person who reacts to electromagnetic stimuli from outside, because it can create various experiences or apparent experiences. Now, some people would say that when it comes to electromagnetic things, maybe it's the electromagnetic activity which is actually opening up some kind of connection to the other world, so whereby the individual is then able to access the other world as a result of the magnetic and electromagnetic interference in their brain and on their nervous system. I think that's open to a big debate, because again, we can't say that is a hard and fast factual thing. When it comes to things on a camera, okay, like artifacts, the occasional like little orb that might appear, then we've got to be a little critical. We've got to think about the actual lens of the camera itself and what that does. Now, I've seen some photographs which are allegedly entities, and these were diamonds, you know, like little diamonds on their side of light, lots of them in the picture. Now, what I personally would say is that there's something about either the lens itself or something to do with the way in which the the sensor actually picks up the light that might be creating that effect with the help of dust particles or lens flares and so on and so forth. So when we have these orbs appearing on camera, we've got to be rather skeptical of them. The issue then is that of reproduction, and to see whether you can, after an extended period of time experimenting with that camera in a wide variety of different situations, get the same or a similar result. And if you do, then you've got to work out whether there is something wrong with the actual receiving apparatus that you've got, which could be creating the experience. Now, when someone is in the sort of like heightened state of superstition, they may start, automatically, oh, that means something. A bit like, a New World Order conspiracy theorist being, considering that because the bank charged them £5 or whatever for going over their overdraft facility, that's proof of the New World Order. Okay, something small becomes proof of something big in the mind of some people under some circumstances. So again, Robster Films, I think that you are on the right track with your skepticism to a certain degree there. However, I personally would not rule out that there may be, under some circumstances, some, as it were, spiritual ability to, or ability to capture something of a spiritual nature on camera. But what that is and under what circumstance it is, I don't think we have anywhere near enough information to be able to make any hard, fast, reliable truth claims at this stage. And there are lots of people who would just like jump to the conclusion of, oh my God, they saw some dust on a mirror that looked like it was in the shape of a head of some description. Oh my word, that must mean that there is a spirit there. No, that's actually a misinterpretation of something else. That's a misinterpretation of certain forms of scrying, whereby the individual would then look at random patterns, and because of either something inside themselves or something which is believed to be outside of themselves, in their mind's eye an image seems to appear. So essentially, to say that you've caught a face made out of dust on a mirror does not mean to say that the place is haunted. What that means to say is you've photographed a patch of dust on a mirror that looks like it's a head. Alright, and that's as far as you can realistically go. So getting these things in perspective is important, and yes, something like YouTube, which is very good for those of the low attention span, is great for people to just upload with abandon short videos which essentially have problems with them, all right, and may explain or express a very simplistic interpretation of what is really going on there, and that really doesn't help, because it's always, when you're dealing with anything of a allegedly or apparently supernatural nature, it's the quality of analysis that you do about the phenomena itself which actually marks you out as someone who could actually be regarded at some point as being a trustworthy source, not just because you've got a lot of religious people who are trusting you. All right, so we've got to get the perspective right. So skepticism or being skeptical of people's claims can be great. So what Rob Lester Films is doing is he is criticizing people's claims, which I think is appropriate.
But it ain't. It's a camera error. How many of these videos are up there now? How many videos on YouTube which are apparently paranormal, which are really just, well, a camera error?
Correct. This is something that we have to look at. And there are people who are jumping to conclusions big time about things which they see on film, or on digital film, or whatever the phrase is, and saying that this is proof. Now, videos with the word proof in its title, or in its in the various, well, I've gone and forgotten the word now. Those the tags you've got in the bottom. Okay, they can actually bring about a great deal of views. And there is a bit of a rush on YouTube. I mean, YouTube is, it's a bit like a poor man's gold rush, because everyone, including myself, is, trying to reach a partner and trying to do well on YouTube. I hope that what I'm doing is actually trying to shed a bit of light in the darkness rather than actually trying to just confirm people's beliefs, because this is what I want to do. I think that the New Age movement is getting out of control. And Rob Lester Films is basically showing that, yes, certain aspects, certain, I would say, dogmatic religious aspects, namely those who are hard believers in ghosts or hard believers in the paranormal, rather than people who want to experiment and to see what kind of strange experiences they can get and see what kind of things they could hypothetically do with them. There's the whole, like, how should I put this? It's to do with nuanced or complex ways of looking at the subject. Alright? Now, just because I play with a Ouija board doesn't mean to say that I necessarily believe that there is a ghost who is pushing the planchette. Alright? I don't know if there is a conscious entity outside of myself which is doing it. Okay, I might have my own personal theology, but essentially that's a weak theological belief. That is not, something which I'm regarding as being hard fact, because essentially it would be incorrect and inappropriate for me to regard these things as hard fact, because I don't know. I may have experienced thousands of things. I mean, some people say to me, if you've seen a ghost, isn't that proof that that spirits exist? No, it's proof that you've had a strange experience. That's all. All right, and yeah, it becomes difficult for us to be able to analyze these things, because all we can do is really swap anecdotes of this happened, or this I seem to make happen, But there is this certain type of people, of which I think there is a little too many within like the New Age, occult, and pagan movements, who are too strong in their faith and not strong enough in their reasoning. Okay?
Whether a distortion caused by light effects, by the camera itself, or something else. There could be any number of different reasons why.
That's right. There can be a wide number of different reasons. I mean, yes, including a hypothetical paranormal cause, but that is still a hypothetical cause. Okay? It's not a hard, solid proof. I mean, you've got hard, solid proof that this snuff tin exists. Okay, it's here, it's solid. If you were to come down to my house, you would see it, you'd be able to feel it, touch it. If you were that way inclined, you could taste it. I really wouldn't recommend that. But this is provable, 100% provable. But either a strange experience or a hard piece of photographic evidence is not hard proof. Okay, the word evidence doesn't mean yes, this is it, this is a fact. Boom, no, it doesn't. What it means is this is something which demonstrates a thing, and this is what we think that thing is. So you got your evidence and you got your hypothesis, and you're trying to use your evidence to prove your hypothesis. But if there's holes in the reasoning between was, then essentially, can you really give it a hard and fast thing? No. I've done some videos saying, the paranormal is real, get used to it, suckers, and essentially that is still a point of view I would take. When it comes to analyzing things of a consciousness-based nature, if you can actually create and generate the right variety of experience or experiment, and I've got to go back into talking about that again, but this quality of evidence that Rob Lester Films is talking about is not good enough. I think I'm showing you why. Okay, you've got your evidence, okay, your photographic evidence, and you've got to be able to show a good line of reasoning between that and the conclusion that you're drawing, okay, for it to be conclusive. And then other forms of experimentation have got to be done to be able to demonstrate to what degree these things happen, to what degree of reliability these things happen, and so on and so forth, for which we would need tons of funding and tons of time, which we don't quite have. But strange personal experiences do carry on happening. It's just a question of, what can we deliberately try and bring about? I mean, this is why I mention like astral projection, remote viewing, and spiritual healing type experiences, because although you can't get hard, fast, regular, repeatable results from them all the time, you can't do that. You do get these certain types of strange experiences which do provide you with personal experiential evidence that there is something else happening. All right, and that's essentially, that far I believe we can say. But, hard evidence on the basis of a 10-minute YouTube video, no.
It could simply be the apparency of the mind playing tricks. You think you see a shadow, which could be a ghost. But
that's right. It's a question of the right quality of reasoning that we deploy that separates us from being, just literalist religious believers and being, people who are trying to be hard and fast and scientific about these things. I mean, a lot of the people, and this is just the way it appears on the basis of my personal social experiences, a lot of the people who say that magic is an art and science of changing conformity with the will, for instance, okay, they actually seem to imply that they are that they are scientists, that they are not really religious, but they are scientists. But essentially the way in which they approach, let's say, these odd photographs is much more religious than it is scientific. It's much more dogmatic and based upon belief than it is upon anything else.
Really, it's caused by lights moving, cars moving in the background, camera angle, something else. It's not always proof.
No. It could still be proof, but the proof is not conclusive. Or it could still be evidence, but the evidence is not conclusive. It's not hard and fast. And as I said before, it's the thing which separates, I would say, a good occult experimenter with a person who is actually religious and dogmatic, okay, is the quality of reasoning that you deploy. Now, millions and billions of things can be proof, but that proof is not conclusive. All right, even things which aren't totally related, they can still be proof, or they can still be evidence, but they're not proper, hard, fast evidence. I mean, science itself is the methodologies of investigation into nature to try and find out what is most likely to be true under specific circumstances. But the phrase there is most likely to be true, which is why correlation coefficients, Pearson's and Spearman's, all these parametric and non-parametric forms of statistical analysis are used in science to try and ascertain levels of significance. So it is based upon probability, essentially. I mean, science is based upon probability, so you can have all kinds of things which could still be part of the whole, evidence stroke proof type thing, but it still is not sufficiently proven, even to the standards of a proper scientific experiment. And even a proper scientific experiment can be criticized heavily for its methodology. This is what we as occultists have to remember, and this is why we as occultists have to be skeptical, especially when we're expressing this to other people, because otherwise we let them go astray.
And a lot of people mass produce and mass mirror these videos of ghosts, angels, orbs, reptilians, you name it, and they have no proof.
Yeah, they mass reproduce these things because this has become a religion. And so these things become like the sacrament to people who are religious in that particular way. All right, that's realistically what's really going on. There is still a dimension of proof there, but it certainly is a million miles away from being conclusive.
No actual proof. They have ideas, they have thoughts, they have, concepts.
Yeah, and this is another reason. I mean, I agree with you, Rob Lester films, okay? And these people, they're bad because they call these things theories. And they're not theoretical, are they? They're hypothetical. Okay? These are hypothetical things. They're not hard and fast, direct, proper proof. And they're not scientific theories. They're personal theories, as in the theory as to why my car isn't working, Using the word theory in terms of common parlance. But people have changed within that groupthink, okay, people have changed those theories into being considered to be facts. And that's upsets me. I mean, I am a spiritual individual, okay, I'm a deist of sorts, okay, or a deist of sorts, okay. So yeah, I mean, but on the other hand, I am intellectually aware that there's a strong difference between saying that, let's say, I believe in God, rather than saying I know that God exists. Okay, it's a question of taking the word belief and seeing it in perspective here, to say that this is a weak belief or a very weak concept, as opposed to proving that this stuff didn't actually exist. Okay.
But in the end, they're achieving nothing but making themselves.
Well, they are achieving a lot. They're fortifying their religion.
They'll look like an ass.
Well, they look like an ass to those who've got different ideas to them. So, yeah, yes, I would agree with you to a certain degree there. They would make them look like an ass. But on the other hand, some of these people would have also had some of the strange experiences that I have had. So they're using them to help fortify their beliefs, to help them for when they're doing meditation and other mind-altering exercises. So essentially there is a benefit to their community, and it is a community communication rather than necessarily saying you must believe in this, or you must accept this as the truth, as in hard and fast solid truth. Although there are some people who do that because there are dogmatic fundamentalist weirdo wackos in every area of society, even the atheists, okay, and the skeptics, than those who sort of like worship at the front of and others.
And if
I didn't even say his name out loud because sometimes even that pisses me off, you know what I mean?
you want to do that, that's your choice, but the fact is, unless it's actually evidential, then
this again is where Rob Lester Films goes a bit off beam, okay? Because these things can be evidential, but they're not empirical. Now, there is a bit of a debate as to whether the empirical sciences are the best way of looking at paranormal phenomena, or indeed whether the empirical sciences are in fact well worth usable for psychological phenomena and indeed sociological phenomena. And to which the answer is probably not quite. We need to have a look at other schools of thought first, including like participant observation and other forms of anti-positivistic approaches. So when it comes to paranormal phenomena, we need to use a blend of the anti-positivistic and the positivistic to try and get some perspective, or basically some handle as to what's really going on here. Can we create hard and fast laws of nature about these things? I don't think that we can. We as a species are still going through the process of collecting and correlating strange experiences and maybe writing them down or doing YouTube videos about them. And some of these things will have to be criticized in order for us to go through the process of trying to get closer to the truth. Because science itself is about trying to get closer to the truth. It's the search for the truth. And if we are to try and apply some scientific thought to the occult, supernaturalism, spiritualism, paranormalism, and other things, probably with the word ism at the end of it, are we still got to try and be able to criticize various hypotheses that people have come up with?
then what use is it?
Well, the use is that it helps to fortify people's beliefs. Essentially, that's the way it's used within that community, just like it uses his videos to try and encourage a political belief amongst his particular audience.
Then again, such is the way of YouTube, free speech, free expression, but it's not evidential.
Yeah, free speech, free expression is good. Okay, which means there's going to be lots of things which you personally would regard as being non-evidential, which is being broadcast, because that is due to freedom of speech, that we have the ability to be able to watch and all the rest of it, these things. And yes, there is a scary component here, because some people would just be, absorbing the media which resonates well with them. I mean, I've subscribed to a fair few people of differing perspectives to try and keep my mind fresh, keep myself on my toes, as the deists might say, because it helps me to be able to generate, I suppose, self-criticism. It helps me to generate criticism of a wide variety of different things, a touch of self-doubt, because I personally am of the opinion that doubt, self-doubt, self-criticism, and even guilt are actually very positive things that help to keep us restrained within a reasonable and sociable mentality.
And you're saying is, proof of interdimensional beings. How many people out there do reptilian videos? Slits throughout the video and distortions. Yeah, you use low quality video. You can't tell if there's an actual slit in the eye, like a reptilian styled, slit.
Yeah, I know. I mean, they're funny. I mean, there's been people saying that I'm obviously a reptile because they've seen my teeth morph. They're bad teeth, okay, get used to it. Or there's slits in my eyes. Well, basically, once in a while with the camera angle and the rest of it, then, my eyes might look a little slitty and reptilian. Well, I'm sorry about that, but I'm not a fucking lizard, okay?
Or if it's actually something in front of them, and due to positionings of lights, it can make it seem like they have a slit eye or two slit eyes, because they're looking at the auto cue and there's a reflection or something. There are other explanations.
Yeah, and unfortunately there is the full spectrum of human mentality here on YouTube, including those who are paranoid, and those who are, or who are made ill or have an illness, which makes them a little more fearful or unable to be able to process information as well as they should be able to if they're rational human beings. And so unfortunately there is something for everyone out there, which is, I suppose, what's right, but essentially other opinions, including mine, still have to get out there.
But of course, the nutbar community, the nut job community, or whatever you want to call yourself, the crazy conspiracists, you don't want to see that, do you? No. You want to believe everything you're spoon-fed.
That is a big problem. There are people who want to absorb beliefs and strange stuff. Okay, it's one of the good things I found about YouTube is all of the videos about logical fallacies. I mean, I found that was helpful to get me out of, because I mentioned this time when and this was around about 2008 when my call volume started to go down the pan and I had to stay up all night taking calls just so I could pay my bills. And it was difficult. I made myself very ill through lack of sleep and poor diet and all the rest of it, and also was coming down ill, and I unfortunately started looking at the conspiracy theory videos, and it basically made me rather ill, to be honest. But, I realized there was something wrong here, and I started looking into the logical fallacies and some of the atheist arguments, and that was very helpful to me. So essentially the fact there was also the logical fallacy stuff and the atheist arguments was quite helpful. It's just a bit of a shame that the atheist arguments have moved towards disingenuous cult thinking rather than to move towards trying to spread enlightened reasoning. So it's down to weird wackos like myself to spread more reasoned thought than the atheists, which is rather unusual. But never mind, such is life.
And the people involved in the paranormal, with the ghosty pictures, same story. New Ages and the fourth dimensional beings, same story.
Well, I think I've already made my point quite plain about that. I mean, you could regard me as being a New Ager, okay? Because I do weird paranormal investigation type stuff. Okay, I just do. Do I share their points of view? No, I don't. Because I am skeptical and I want to experiment and to explore. Okay, is it the same story with me? No. And there's a fair few people who have seen my videos who are actually quite grateful to have this other perspective. So in my own little way, I'm trying to do something to address the balance.
Same shit, different day. Just another day on YouTube.
And there more or less ends the video. What I hope I've done is shown you where I think he's gone right, where I think the New Age, paranormal and occult communities and pagan communities are going wrong, and where I feel we can start to explore further. Okay, strange experiences happen. It says something about us as humans that we can have strange experiences, but there's lots of people who don't quite get it. And that's one of the many reasons why I keep doing this and I keep putting videos out, because that point of view, we don't know. I mean, I could do a dark mirror scrying experiment tonight and I could see the face of the devil staring back at me, okay, after I'd done like all my invocations and burnt my incense and candles and prayers and the rest of it and gone totally altered state of consciousness, man, okay, totally. But it doesn't mean a thing. Apart from the fact that a strange experience can be created. There's lots of other aspects to the strange experience. Okay, lots of other strange experiences I've had which were totally left field, wow. Okay, and those really do suggest to me that there is some validity to all this supernatural paranormal stuff. Yes. But we still have to work out what we can use, how we can control it, how we can try and reliably bring these things about, and what else we can do with them for our benefit and the benefit of other people. Alright? And that's where the New Age world has got to start focusing in on, and has got to move away from the religious dogmatic points of view. Because it's about time. Alright? Because otherwise, the hard atheist, the hard skeptical arguments will become too strong and too powerful. Because otherwise the New Agers, the occultists, the pagans, the supernaturalists, the paranormalists will start to look more and more and more like losers. When a lot of them aren't and really have great potential. We've got to start doing something about this now. This is the time, and this is why I'm a transcendental deist. Good fortune. God bless.